Hi, this is Jim Ave, your teacher. Hi, this is Jim Ave, your teacher for Kinesiology 792A and C. I'm going to combine both of my practicum courses. We have two practicum courses. One is 792A, which is for PE teachers and coaches, and then there's Kinesiology 792C, which is for athletic trainers. Both classes have the same assignments called the professional portfolios, and it's located in Appendix B. So I'm going to talk about the professional portfolios and try to give you examples both from a PE, coaching, strength and training, and or athletic training viewpoint. So you can see in your syllabus, if you have it in front of you, we're looking at Appendix B for this assignment. And then the other thing I would ask that you get is the template that I have in a course. It looks like this. So have your template handy too, because I'm going to go back and forth between your template and the assignment directions. All right. So the purpose of our professional portfolio assignment is to allow you to dig deeper into the professional standards for each of our different professions. I'll go over which ones are which. So for the athletic trainer, we've talked about the professional BOC professional practice standards. Those would be the standards that you'll go over. For physical education teachers, you'll either use the NASP national standards, or if your state has state standards, you use your state standards. So you have your choice for PE teachers. For coaches, that you'll use the NASP coaching standards, and for strength and conditioning individuals, you'll use the strength and conditioning standards. Now, for some of you, you have multiple jobs. Some of you are working both as a PE teacher and as a coach. So in that situation, which standards you'll use are the standards, or excuse me, depends on your job. If your salary is primarily from teaching, then you'll use the PE standards. If your salary is primarily from coaching, use the coaching standards. So whatever is paying the bills is the standards that we're going to work on. All right. So I have a bunch of directions there. This is, as it says right here, word of advice. This is your professional portfolio. It should have your personality and abilities. One of the reasons why I don't provide previous examples of completed portfolios, because I don't want you just to follow everybody else's assignment and just make it look like theirs. So have some freedom on way it looks, but the thing is, you have to have the following sections in your paper. So first thing, like all our assignments in our classes, we have a title page, and the title page should look like this, something like this. We'll have a running head up here, then a class name, and this should be professional portfolio. And then you'll put the number there, include your name, the date that you turn in, the university, and my name there. So that's your title page. And then after that, you're going to have on a brand new page introduction. So I'll go back to the portfolio. So you scroll down, you have introduction, you have a title there, and it says here, begin your portfolio with giving an introduction. Who are you? Give us your name. If you have any certifications, if you want your contact information, any professional and personal information that you want to share with the readers. Include a picture of yourself so we can see what you look like. And again, you're trying to introduce yourself to other people. I will not grade this introduction. This is strictly up to you to let me know who you are. All right, so we'll scroll down, and let me find the athletic training one so I can pull that one up too. All right, so The next section is called the content standards or the practice standards section. So if we look at this, there will be the physical education, coaching, strength and conditioning, and or other kinesiology professional standards pages. That's where we're going. So content or professional standards are coaching domains as it is for coaches. You're going to provide a summary. It's called an executive summary for the content standards for PE, domains for coaching, professional standards for strength and conditioning, and I believe for athletic training, it's professional practice standards and code of professional responsibility standards. Okay. Each portfolio, you have 3 this semester. You also do another 3 in the spring. You're only assigned specific standards for each portfolio. Generally speaking, for PE, you'll do standard 1 in the first portfolio, standard 2 in the second portfolio, and standard 3 in a third portfolio. And that's similar for the physical or athletic trainers. And then the coaches, you'll do domain 1 in your first portfolio. And the second portfolio, you'll actually do 2 domains, domain 1 or 2 and 3. And that's the same with strength and conditioning. I believe I have you doing standards 2 and 3 in your second portfolio. And then in your final portfolio, you're doing domain 4, and for strength and conditioning, it's standard 4. So what you're going to do is provide a brief summary of each one of these, about a page, or excuse me, about a paragraph. And I don't want you just to copy and paste the material from the references. Yes, I do have this bold or in all caps. I'm trying to get the point across. I want you to rewrite the material in your own words and try to describe it so a non-kinesiology person can understand it. A non-PE person, a non-coach, a non-athletic trainer can understand what this particular standard or standards is about. Again, it should only be about a paragraph in length. Now, if you are assigned 2 standards, like for athletic trainers, you have so with athletic trainers, you have the code. You have code 1 and practice standard number 1. So you should have 2 paragraphs. 1 paragraph describing the code, 1 paragraph describing the practice standard. Now, here's how you have a little bit of freedom in your portfolio. Here's where you have your, on the new page after you've done your introduction, you begin with introduction, and then you go to a new page. Every section starts with a new page. Provide your executive summary. Now, since I have the athletic training portfolio here, you can do 1 or 2 things. You can do practice standard 1, the executive summary, then go to the next section, would be the artifacts, and the next section, reflection on that particular practice standard. And then you would start another page. You'd have the executive summary again, then you have your artifact section, and then you have your reflection on that particular code. Or you can do, in the executive summary stage, you can have 1 paragraph on code 1, 1 paragraph on practice standard 1, and then in your artifact section, you'll describe how that particular artifact meets practice standard 1, and then have another, that's about a page and a half to 2 pages, then another page and a half on why the artifact that you selected satisfies the code of professional practice, and then have your reflection all in this one section here. So it's up to you on how you want to organize that. And that's going to be the same with coaches and with what's the word I'm looking for? The strength and conditioning people. Because there'll be times when you have 2 domains or 2 standards that you have to cover. Okay. All right. So here again, you just have a summary. You're just trying to describe to non-athletic trainer, non-kinesiology people what that means. The next section is where what you have to do is you have to find evidence that you are actually meeting that particular standard domain code of professional practice at your workplace. Now, let me explain this first for coaches, because the coaches seem to have the harder time understanding what is expected with this. So, which is this? Okay, so with coaches, you'll see in the NASB document that you have one domain. Then within each domain, there are different standards. And then for each standard, there are benchmarks. Now, what I want coaches, and this is true for everybody, but specifically for the coaches, since you have a domain with a bunch of standards within each domain, I don't want one artifact for each standard in each domain. That gets very tedious and it's very boring. When we first started doing these assignments, that's what we originally had coaching students do. You'd have to have one artifact for every single standard within each domain. Now, I don't want that. I want one artifact per domain. So domain one is about your athlete-centered philosophy. And then there's standards underneath that describes what makes up a athlete-centered philosophy. Well, you should turn in a document, which would probably be your philosophy statement, should be a good artifact for you. And then in the artifact section, you don't place your artifact actually in this section that I have on the screen right now. You actually put your artifact in the appendices. So you'll place the actual artifact here in the appendix of your portfolio. In the actual body of your paper, in this section of your paper, you'll describe why that artifact satisfies the domain of coaching, or if you're a PE teacher, you select a lesson plan that satisfies standard number one, and you explain why that lesson plan satisfies content standard number one. Athletic trainers, the same thing. You're going to pick two artifacts because you have a code and a practice standard that you're meeting, and this is going to be true for all your portfolios. So you need two artifacts, athletic trainers. And then in this section here, you're describing again why that artifact that you have selected, why it meets that practice standard or code. Be very detailed, be very specific and clear. Don't assume that I understand anything about anything. Make it perfectly clear why that artifact satisfies the standard or the code. All right. For some reason, again, this is one of the sections that students have the most difficult part on, is this artifact section. I don't know why. To me, it's clear in my head that you pick an artifact, you pick something that proves that you meet that standard at your workplace, and then you just, in the paper itself, you'd explain clearly why it meets that standard. The last section in your portfolio is the reflection section, and I'll go to the directions. And so here in reflection, we're going to reflect on a couple different things. So the first part of your reflection is, I want you to think back when you first started coaching, first started teaching, when you first started as an athletic trainer, started as a strength and conditioning individual. How have you gotten better in the specific assigned standard or code or whatever for this portfolio? How have you gotten better in that particular area over your career? Now, if you're new in your career, you have to think back, like if you're an athletic trainer, when you first got and started being an athletic training student, since then till now, how have you gotten better, developed, and grown in this particular area? Be specific. This is the reflection. You're trying to think back. One of the things we know about adult learners like yourself is that the way we learn is by reflecting on our learning. So you'll have, if you have two standards, like in athletic training, you have to describe both the practice standard and a code. How have you grown in both those areas over your career so far? So that's 2 to 3 paragraphs. Your next section in your reflection section is, how can you continue to grow? what steps will you take to grow as a professional in these standards or domains or codes? All right. Be specific. Give me things that you can actually do to get better. The other thing, part of this is some of you have taken the Strengths Finder. We did that in the Issues in Kinesiology course. Some of you have taken that course already. Some of you will take it later. But those who have taken or ever taken a Strengths Finder, the goal in the Strengths philosophy is that we focus on the things that we do well and manage around the things that we're weak in. So one of the things I want you to think about is, what are you doing particularly well in this particular standard? How have you taught well in that particular standard? Now, when I'm thinking about PE teachers, some of the things that PE teachers have done on the reflection section, which is not correct, is that they are narrowly focused in the reflection section. They're just talking about this particular lesson, how I've gotten better, how I've grown in this particular lesson. I want it to be broader than that. I want you to think about how have you grown in that particular standard, content standard over the years. How have you gotten better in teaching in that area, not just that lesson. The lesson's just one example of that, but think about more globally, and this is true for everybody. Globally, how have you gotten better, and what are you doing well in that area, and how can you continue to develop in that area? Then, since we still need to think about our weaknesses, just think about how you can manage around some of the things that you need to improve on. Maybe it's not your giftedness. Maybe you have to bring somebody else in to help you with that area. So discuss that too. So that particular section is 3 to 4 paragraphs. Then the next part, the last part in your reflection, is you're going to actually reflect on the textbook Courage and Calling. And in the last appendix, it has what chapters you should be reflecting on for each one of your professional portfolio assignments. You're not going to reflect on the whole book. Each, as you'll see when I get to the Courage and Calling video, when you watch it, I have assigned specific chapters for each one of your portfolios and each one of your progress reports. So for, I believe in the portfolio 1, you're reflecting on chapters 2 and 3 of the book. And I want you to really reflect on the things that kind of spoke to you out of this textbook. The reason why I picked this text is I think it goes well with this practicum. We're thinking about why we do what we do. What have we been called to do in our vocation? And Gordon Smith talks about a lot about that in the text. So, and I will talk about more what you should be reflecting on, but this is where you're going to put your reflection on. It's 1 to 2 paragraphs. And with all these sections, you'll see that they start on a new page. So I'll go back to the template. So if I start up the top here, we have the title page, brand new page. This is the introduction. After you finish your introduction, start on a brand new page with your artifacts section. And then after your artifacts section is done, start, the summary is first, Do your summary section. Start on a new page for your artifacts section. Then start on a new page for your reflection section. The other thing is that all your papers should be double spaced, 12-point font, use 1-inch margins. Now the margins are top, bottom, left, and right. And I should say with the double spacing, I don't know if you know that Microsoft Word has this stupid paragraph spacing thing in it. I've made a video to fix that. If you don't fix that, it's going to be pointed out every time you do it. So just fix it in your Microsoft Word program. I made a video. It's inside the Moodle training course. And 12-point font, 1-inch margins, left, right, top and bottom, and right in the first person, because it's about you. I've talked about this. Follow APA formatting. This is specifically for section titles. And here's one of my pet peeves on referencing. You are not the expert. I'll say that again. You are not the expert. You should be, especially in the content standard description and artifact section, and some points in the reflection section, you should be citing references to support the stuff that you are saying. So make sure that you are referencing and following APA. At this point in the program, you've had summer classes. Hopefully some of the faculty members have helped you learn APA, but it is your responsibility as a graduate student to learn how to use APA. You should have the book. If you haven't bought the book, you need to buy it. I also have some APA helps inside the class too. So, all right. So this assignment is worth 100 points per portfolio. So you have 3 of them. The description is worth 5 points. Oop, I forgot to change these point values here. Actually, I was right. That is the right point value. So 5 points for the description. 40 points on putting a lot of emphasis on the artifact section. You can earn all 40 points if you select an artifact that is correct for each of the standards or codes or domain, and that you accurately and correctly describe why that artifact meets the standard. That's that. Reflection is worth 40 points too. So there's 85 points in the paper. You have 5 points for your writing. If it's written well, you get 5 points. If it's organized well, you get 5 points. 3 points if you appropriately reference in the text and the reference page, and 2 points for the appropriate formatting. Some other things, I don't know if I pointed it out, but let me just go back. Sorry, I said in the introduction, the standards page is a paragraph each standard. Artifact section should be 2 to 3 pages in length, and the reflection should be 2 to 3 pages in length. So just want to make sure I cover that. A couple other things. Either write in the first person, which means I, we, me, or the third person, which is taking yourself out of there. And you'll see right here, it says do not write in the second person, which is you, your. That's poor writing for this grad program. If you're going to write in the first person, stay in the first person throughout your paper. If you start in third person, stay in third person throughout the whole paper. Do not switch back and forth between first and third person. Write in the past tense because you have done all this stuff already. It's already been completed. So you're describing stuff that you're looking back on. And we talk about this grade reduction for late assignments. Don't do it. And I'll use a rubric for your grading. I'll give you feedback both in the paper and in the rubric. And how I give feedback is I'll insert a comment, and then you should be able to see my remarks. So that's how I'll give you feedback in your paper. And a rubric I'll write in your paper. And let me delete that. All right, so that's it for the professional portfolio. I hope I try to make it clearer. If you have additional questions, please post them in the Q&A forum. Again, your first portfolio is not due until the 4th week of class, and you're only doing a specific standard, content standard, domain, or professional standards or professional codes. So don't do more than that. That's all you're going to do, okay? Teacher for kinesiology.